The book of Jeremiah, chapter 5, verse 19. And it shall come to pass when you will say, wherefore, or why does Yahuwah Almighty all these things happen to us? Then you shall answer them, like as you have forsaken me, and served the strange gods in your land, so shall you serve the strangers in a land that is not yours. Declare this in the house of Jacob, and publish it in Judah, saying, hear now, O this, O foolish people, without understanding, which have eyes and see not, which have ears and hear not. Fear you not me, says Yahuwah? Will you not tremble at my presence, which have placed the sand for the bound of the sea by a perpetual decree, that it cannot pass? And though the waves thereof toss themselves, yet can they not prevail. Though they roar, yet can they not pass over. But you people, Yasharel, Judah, have a revolting and a very rebellious heart. You have revolted and gone. So don't say in your heart, let us now, or you don't say in your heart, let us now fear Yahuwah, that gives both the former and the latter rain in the season. He reserves unto us an appointed weeks for food. Your iniquities have turned these things, and your sins have withheld the good things. Shalom, Yasharel, Elder DFG. My dear brothers and sisters, I thought that would be a very good place to start today's message. As you see, in the review of just was spoken and brought out from this word, Yahuwah again warning our people of a time past, a time that was present in their time, or the time that Jeremiah was speaking unto the kings of the earth, and the time right now where again he's using his prophets, his teachers, his kings, his messengers to bring forth the word again to a people without understanding, a people who reject knowledge for personal, vanity, to gain influence based off of what they call ignorantly Yah's will for their lives. And I emphasize ignorantly Yah's wills for their life, because Yahuwah only has one will for Yasharel, and that will is for them to be obedient to his Torah, completely to his Torah. Not the religious psychopaths that we talk about who dance around the truth, who spew out vomit out of their mouth. It's funny, you'll see people from time to time use the emoji with vomit coming out of their mouth. They remind me of the girl Reagan in the movie from the mid-'70s called Exodus, the Exodus. In other words, this demon, girl was, throwing up this, she had become possessed by a devil, like, some of the women of Zion are meant to, but in particular, this was a female, so I'm going to reference it properly. But, the female who chose an emoji and vomit gets just spewing out of her mouth, and, in referencing to, going against Yahuwah's Torah, and they don't realize, brothers and sisters, that, it's a representative of themselves. The dog going back to the vomit. Why would vomit be coming out of your mouth? Anytime vomit comes out, that means that person has a filthy, bitter, envious, and jealous heart. In other words, that person is a fool. But they don't know they're a fool. And therefore, you can never, penetrate their minds. And this is why Yahuwah is saying they got eyes to see but can't hear, ears to hear what they won't hear. He said you can come and teach them the word, brothers and sisters, all day long, all night long, tomorrow and the day after. And it'll be as though, you were talking, as the old saying, to your own hand and hoping that the hand gives you a response. It's not. And that's the same thing that he's saying to Yashua, in particular to Judah. Because Jeremiah also said that Judah has this rebellious heart, so hard towards Yahuwah's Torah, that they would never, adjust, never self-reflect, never turn back, from the things that they believe is right. And interestingly enough, we see that same behavior right now. There are 12 tribes. We are scattered over this whole entire earth, but most of Judah is concentrated here in North America. And when you see Judah's behavior here, it's enough to make you, want to cry. But then again, you realize that you're wasting tears, pouring, how you said, money in bags with holes in it. Judah doesn't care. Judah's too prideful to care. She, how you say, roars her voice, you know what I'm saying, like a wolf. She lowers herself, like a dog. What did Yahuwah said? Yasharel, in particular, Judah is like a backsliding heifer, which is a cow that, a female cow, that sort of moving forward. The idiot of that particular cow is always in a state of reproach, backwards, rebellion. But that is, the story. That is what it's being saying, and we would be foolish. I'm talking about the righteous remnant, to ignore, Yahuwah's word by, continually to, to address them or trying to find good in them. There is no good in them. And I'm talking about, Judah as a whole. And Yahuwah, from time to time, he will reference us, as we all know, as almost in a bride sense, not calling men women, but he's talking about, the relationship, how a bride is supposed to, or a woman is supposed to submit unto her husband, because that's what she says when she goes into covenant with him. That's what she's going to do. And therefore, that's why the book recognizes that particular woman that's under that man covenant, talking about the righteous woman. She understands her role inside of her man, and she knows that she belongs to him. She's his possession. And she would never, ever, those who are in their right mind would rebel against that, because she recognized she'd be rebelling against Yahuwah, regardless of, what, her possessor calls on her, to do, because she belongs to him. But when he said a backsliding heifer, Yasharel, he said that's the way, our people have behaved themselves. And again, Judah in particular, and I'm of the tribe of Judah. So when I talk about Judah, I'm definitely self-reflecting as well. So it's not a scolding, diss of my people. It's just, a certain level of shame. I'm ashamed of us. I'm ashamed of the way that our people behave. I'm ashamed how our people, reject, this teaching. I'm ashamed of how some of our people will come and hear this teaching and do nothing in regards to showing that this teaching matters to them. I'm ashamed of us for that. In all of my years, and I've been around for a moment, I never thought that if the truth was brought to us in sincerity and and honor, what would be the word? Power, not honor, but power, because in truth, sincerity, and power. I always imagined, brothers and sisters, that one day that Yahuwah would hopefully, call upon me, as he did in corporate America, to lead, that he would allow me to do the same thing among our people. And I just knew that when that time happened, our people would turn around, they would stop following paganism, they would stop, the debauchery, that they would see the dignity, that represents themselves to my leadership, because I am a dignified man, that they would look at, me as a role model and start to, reestablish themselves. Corporate America did it. They did it without blinking. Thousands and tens and really probably over 100,000 throughout my career were influenced by my leadership. And I would have thought that, when Yahuwah brought me back home, to this final assignment of mine, that I would have that same type of influence. And unfortunately, it's been disappointment after disappointment after disappointment. And I make, No apology for being honest, because when we talk about, what is the truth or what is Yah Torah, this Torah is based off of truth, not off of people's feelings. We talked about this when we were studying Elzar, our forefather in the book of 4 Maccabees, and how he said he would never let the way he feels supersede what this Torah said. He said, I would never pretend in front of my people that I'm doing one thing when I'm actually doing something else. He said, I would never do it. He said, I'd be a scoundrel. He said, I'd be a wicked wizard witch if I went around, looking as though, I'm following Yahuah's Torah on the outside, but inside, doing clever little things, doing things to manipulate my people, to give my people the impression that I'm righteous. Like the vomit, again, like the girl in The Exorcist or the woman in The Exorcist. She looked, and again, if you ever watched that movie, she's a calm, just beautiful, glowing little girl, glowing woman. And then all of a sudden, when the truth, or whenever that it wasn't the truth, but when when the truth came to her, I said that right. When the Exodus came to get the demon out of her, not saying that the priests were anything of Yahuwah, but to tell the story, in his more in the form of an analogy, right? That he's supposed to be the holy one, she's supposed to be the one possessed, and he tries to get the demon out of her, and what she does is just throw up this green filth on him. And then she tries to, to persuade him, that he is wrong and that she's right. And ultimately she overcomes him because, those demons have the ability, brothers and sisters, to capture weak-minded men in many cases. These men become their servant fools and don't even know it. And then, that particular demon, continues to grow and get stronger in the resolve, and ultimately, like Yahuwah is saying about Israel, there is no more hope for them. But these things are real, and we have to deal with them as we see them and understand that, Yahuwah's will is perfect, but it's only perfect to those who keeps it. That's why the book identifies us as a very, small righteous remnant. But mostly when you read through our Torah, Yahuwah is speaking against, he's speaking against us. He's constantly, reminding us of, a behavior that he said, where did you get this from? You didn't get it from me. He said, I didn't teach you that. It's coming like on a little child. You see a child, behavior that goes so against maybe something that you have stood against. And then one day you look around and you see this child doing that behavior. You ask, who taught you that? Where'd you learn that at? And that's how he's looking at Yahshua. It's like, who taught you this? Where did you learn this? You didn't learn it from me. But again, many in Yahshua, that's why we call them the religious psychopaths. They just took, brothers and sisters, their pagan behavior from when they were Christians, Jehovah's Witnesses or whatever, and they just brought it, back over here, and then they're vagabond Jews now. They just go everywhere. That's why you see them all on all these different channels, trying to, find the truth and searching for the truth. They ain't searching for the truth. They're not searching for anything. They're busybodies giving their love to anybody. That's what they are. They're spiritual love to anybody, not physical. Because some of these people, they're going to die by themselves. They're going to die alone, and everybody's holy on the outside as a day long and rotten, as a skunk, or stinky as a skunk on the inside. And they don't even know it. They got all their religious books and all their little pads where they write their stuff down and keep a journal. And this is a journal that's going to get burned up one day, right in hell with them. So I will caution my brothers and sisters, again, remember, we're taught not to put money in bags, with holes in it. We're taught to be very observant of who we walk amongst. Because when we don't do that, brothers and sisters, you're gonna find yourself, in a state of constant, what's the word? Frustration. Because as I said, I thought Israel wanted to hear the truth. I look forward to the day that I could, again, transition, from the heathen system, which was important for me to learn how to lead and guide and build and, and cultivate a culture, manage a culture. That's why he chose me to come to us now as we reestablish a real culture, which we call the DFG family of believers, establishing a culture. So I had to learn to do that. Those are skills that have to be taught. You're not born with that. You may innately be born to be someone who will take charge. Little kids, you'll see them taking charge like an alpha male. But the leadership, how to build and coordinate people, that's a learned trade. That's why David couldn't become king until a certain time in his life. That's why Joseph did not become the prince of Egypt until a certain time in his life. That's why Moses did not become, a prophet until a certain point in his life. They had to learn some things. Abraham had to spend a lot of years with Noah and Shem before he could be a leader. It doesn't just happen. There's a trial and there's an error. There's a going through the fire process that's involved. And many, individuals who are in leadership roles today, they burned out when they went through the fire. Better said, they sold out when they went through the fire. When Yahuwah challenged them to go through the fire, they sold out. They gave up. They quit. They turned back. And you say, well, how do you know they turned back? How could we know, Elder? Prophet, how would we know when they turn back? Because they become compromised. They become compromised. They take the bag, they take the loot, the spoils, the bounty, booty, whatever you want to call it. They compromise. When it comes down to really, 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 really having to give it all, they gonna stop. Like the dog returned to a vomit, the regurgitating emoji, the green stuff coming out of filthy green. Well, I think that's a female in that emoji. They say, that green stuff that they throw up, that's an indicator that stuff was in them. Because you only throw up what you digest, right? And so when you look at it from that perspective, you begin to realize they sold out. When things got really tough, they went for the bag. They went for comfort. They went for safety. They went for security. But they remained, faithful. I'm going to use this in quotation. But they faithful. Their heart is so pure. But they are liars. They're con artists. And the younger, somebody probably put their foot up their ass because they were wicked. But somebody should still be putting their foot up their ass. Y'all gonna put his foot up their ass because of their wickedness. But again, it is what it is. And I just want to remind my brothers and sisters that as we go into the lesson, I'm going to do a little sharing in the book of Isaiah. One of our dear sisters mentioned it to me yesterday. She was reading. I read it before. She said, Elder, you might want to go back and take a look at it. She said, it would be great if you would teach from it. And as I went back to reflect upon it and prayed about it, I feel inspired by Yahuwah to do just that. But before I say anything, further, I want to talk real quickly about a dream I had night before last. And I'll tell the dream as it was. I was in this car with four I'm going to say it was four individuals. It may have been more. I didn't count them. But I was in this car and someone I knew long ago was driving the car. Him and I used to, be young leaders together when we were working for Sam's Club. And I remember, we lived together, but in the dream, I wanted to digress here, about to reminisce on him and I. But anyway, we were in the car together, but he was driving in the car. And as he was driving, I was sitting on the backseat passenger side, and he turned around to speak to someone that was to the left of me, or in the passenger seat. And he literally turned his head all the way around, and he was still driving. And I told him, I said, hey, you got to keep your eyes on the road. So like Yahuwah tells us, don't get caught up in all these distractions. Keep your eye on the road. I said, hey, you turn around. I don't want to say his name. I said, you got to turn around. You keep your eye on. You got to get your eye on the road. And I felt some kind of way because we were peers in our leadership positions at the time. So I think my brain was still relating to him that way in the dream. It's like trying to tell your peer you're wrong. It's not going to be the easiest conversation, but sometimes the conversation that you have to have. Your peer is somebody at the same level you are in some profession or some occupation. But anyway, and then the next thing in the dream, we pull up to a gas station, gasoline station, to put gas. And when we pull up to the station, I'm driving now. There's nothing in the dream that showed when I took over driving, but now I'm driving the car. And we pull up to the gas service station, and I look down at the tank, and the tank has gas. We have gas, but for some reason, I pulled up to the gas pump, and then I got out of the vehicle, and to reach for the pump to put gas in the automobile, and the pump wasn't there. The handle, the gas pump, the handle itself, the pump was there, but the handle wasn't there. And then I hear somebody say, I'm using this particular pump. And I see, this guy, and he's got the pump in his hand, the handle in his hand, I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. So I get back in the car, and for whatever reason, drive off to another filling station, looking for gasoline. And when I get to that filling station, a gas station, I get out the car again. Once I pulled in front of the pump, I reach for the handle, and there's no handle again. And then all of a sudden, I see someone walking looks like he was coming from maybe the station in itself. And he said, hey, that, he said, that's my area, and he's got, somehow or another, he's got the pump in his hand. I'm like, well, goodness, the handle in his hand. So I said, oh, my bad. I'm like, I'm sorry. And I get in the car again, brothers and sisters, and I drive farther and pull to another gas station. Again, repeat the same process, reach for the handle, and there's someone else saying, hey, no, I got it, because the car pulls in front of where we are this time, and it takes the front pump. I'm in the back behind him, and when I get out the car, I reach again for the handle to pump the gas, and another person has it. And when I look towards him, something falls out of, I don't know where it fell from, but it was almost like this tablet. I would say it was the Torah. All of a sudden, this tablet falls down to the surface. And I look at the guy and I say, you're not going to believe this. Because I think this is the third time this has happened to me in a row. And then I awaken from the dream. And in reflection of that, it came to my attention. Yahuwah was telling me that the reason why all those, handles were not available to me, he said, because these people belong to somebody else. He said, they were never yours. They were never for you to get them. You just thought you did. He said, that's why I showed you already have what you need. You don't need any more. And as I reflect upon it, I realized that he was telling me, again, I was putting money in bags with holes in it. He said, you're chasing after something that is not for you. And this is the way he's telling the righteous remnant of us. He's saying, stop chasing what's not yours. He said, I've given you what you need. You have everything you need. You need to keep on going. Stop stopping here and there looking for them. You say, you can't save them. They don't want to be saved. They doing what they want to do. They already got their, life, that holding that pump handle was them saying, they're already doing their own thing. They already got their life. They already, they already, have taken and doing what they want to do with their lives. They're not interested in going where you're going. They're interested only in doing what they want to do. So I say this to my brothers and sisters. If you get when these dreams come, they come in threes like that, you better believe that's Yahuwah saying something there. He's saying, look, it's winding down, son. You ain't got no time. That's why when the fellow was driving, was looking back, he would say, you can't look back going forward. That's why he said, you take the handle, meaning myself. You take control of the wheel. But as you take control of the wheel, keep going. Stop trying to help those who don't want to be helped. Stop trying to, y'all know how we do, save those who are marked for damnation. He said, they're already done. He said, no, they let them stay right there where they are. They are the ones who are in need of something, not you. You have what you need. And that message was for me. But I also say to you, my brothers and sisters, there's no message given to the prophet that's not a message to the congregation, to the assembly. So it's for some of you too. Get your mind off of the others and just focus on Yahuwah and his purpose for those who are going the way that we're going. In corporate America, there was a book, by the name of the title of the book was Good to Great. How to become great. Even though you're good, how to improve yourself, good to great. And one of the things that the writer of the book would talk about, he said, you want to be involved with people who are on the bus, but not only on the bus with you. He said, you want to be, as a leader, you say a leader has to have people that are not only on the bus with them, believing what they believe, but they also have to have the same conviction to go where you're going. And as you say, so not only you can't just focus on who's on the bus, you also have to ask yourself the question or be assured that they are going where you are going. See, a lot of people, brothers and sisters, will gravitate over to where we are, but they're not going where we're going. They're just here for a ride. They're getting off at a different stop. But sometimes we'll confuse that because they have this religiosity about them that we get the impression that they're with us, but they're not really with us. They're only here for a season. They're only here for a time. It's time. You're going to station number 10, and they got on, but you all got on at station number 1. You kept growing. They stopped growing. So you're going all the way to the apex. You're going to 10. They're going to get off on stop 2, stop 3, stop 4, stop 5, stop 6, stop 7, stop 8. Hell, some of them you're going to think of with you, but they're getting off on stop 9. To the righteous remnant, we going all the way. And we're not going to let any, distractions whatsoever get in our way. That's the tried through the fire. And this is what I was saying a moment ago when Zechariah talks about it in Zechariah chapter 13. He said 2/3 getting tried through the fire, and they're not going to make it. What it is, again, they're going to compromise. They're going to quit. They're going to give up. As soon as something get to that point, what I won't do, not going to do, can't do, I'm going to throw up, that kind of folly and foolishness, that's how you know. They weren't in it. They were in it for other reasons. And so what they do, like a dog returning to body, they just go settle back where they were. They fall back. They get off the bus. They may have gotten on with you, but they ain't going to get off with you. So when you see that behavior, just like the dream, don't waste your time. And Yahuwah is saying in this last time that we're in, we don't have any time to waste. Hagar said it even better. He says, don't put money in bags with holes in it. He said, you're going to regret it. You're going to find out down the road that these damn things are the same damn things they've been damn things. And I'm saying it like that for a reason. He said they were damned before you knew them, and they were damned while you know them, and they're going to be damned after you know them. So he says, so don't bother with that. Keep on moving. And again, I'll say to many of you, my dear brothers and sisters, who have a heart that is pure before Yahuwah. I ain't talking about them devils who say that. I'm talking about those who are obedient to this Torah, those of you who follow leadership, those of you who are committed to this leadership, because I will tell you, This leadership is ordained by Yahuwah. Yahuwah put his hands on me as an 8-year-old little boy, told me exactly what was going to happen. He told me I would live to see the destruction of this earth. And do I believe that this thing that's going on with Iran and the United States and those wicked culture vulture thieves who are calling themselves, us, are going to end this whole show? No, I don't. I believe they're just a part of God's judgment. These are signs and indicators. How many of you guys remember when the prophet Elijah, after he had killed all those wicked Jesus lovers, Baal, same thing, when he had Israel kill these Baal lovers, these Israelites, who had taken on to Baal, was being seduced by Baal through Jezebel and King Ahab. And he told them, how long will y'all be between two opinions? And when the prophet established that Yahuwah is supreme and no one else, he said, now go kill all of them. And Israel did it. This is why you got to be tough in your resolve too, brothers and sisters. They might come, who might tell you, it's time to put some real work in. I ain't just talking about spiritual work either. And if you can't do that part, then you're not ready for the fight. But anyway, he told him to go get rid of him. Then once he did, once the people did, Elijah, he left, went out into the wilderness, if you remember. And while he was there, he was in a state of, sorrow, because he realized that although he had ridden the land of the Baal worshippers, he had not gotten rid of the land of that wicked, Queen Jezebel. And we got a bunch of those spirits around us now. He realized that Ahab was still alive too. Ultimately, like many of these wicked Jezebels, these religious whores are going to be thrown over the balcony when Yah's king is reestablished. And the dog will eat her. And the same thing with Ahab. You can read about him. You can read about Jezebel in the book of 1 Kings. I think it's chapter 10, verse 9, what happens to her. And then you can go read about Ahab in the book of 2 Chronicles 18, when Yahuwah slaughters him and the dog licks up his blood. Chapter 18, 2 Chronicles chapter 18. So the vengeance is going to happen. But as Elijah, so just don't forget that part. Yah will deal with them who have tried to interfere with his work. The culture vultures over there too. But also the culture vultures in Israel. You got a lot of Israel that's not Israel, brothers and sisters. They look like Israel, but they're not really Israel. They claim to be us, but they're not us. That's why you say you have to look at people by their fruit. Don't go by how they look. And people lie. They lie all the time. I'll tell you about Brother Mendez and myself. We were talking to this heathen couple, and they lied and told us, they were brothers and sisters, and we realized later on that they were liars, both of them. 2 peas in a pie. So you can't go off of the outer appearance. You got to look at what people do. Can't go off of what they say. You got to look at what they do, brothers. So you got to look for their patterns. They have a pattern. Look for the pattern. And if that pattern isn't progressing, then I can assure you, even if they are Yashrael, they're not the righteous remnant. They're the 9/10 that's going to be damned. But when Elijah, back to that in 1 Kings chapter 19, he's in the wilderness and he's in a state of depression, because he's trying to understand, what's next in his life. And sometimes, like Noah in the ark, these things get a little topsy-turvy, and life gets a little rough. And sometimes you begin to wonder that, okay, Yahuwah, did I do something wrong here? Yahuwah said, not necessarily, but I do need you to seek me. I need you to continue to trust me no matter what. This is what he told Noah in the ark. And this is what he was telling Elijah. Even though Elijah had done the work, Noah had done the work too. You would have thought it would be, smooth sailing, nothing but smooth sailing tonight, like the song. Say no. No, not true necessarily. A time will come where we have peace unbeknownst to mankind. A time will come where we'll be restored to our, former glory. Yes, that's no question about it. But that's when Yahuwah destroys this entire earth, and the new heaven and the new earth will be here. I've had visions and dreams. Some of you know about that, coming back from worshiping, men to men. And our children were there, and then our women were awaiting us when we got back into the village. And how beautiful it was. But Elijah was wondering, okay, well, I've done the things that you've asked me to do, but why am I in exile? Why do I feel all alone? Why do I feel, hated and rejected? And what did he do? You say Yahuwah came to him like an earthquake, and then he came to him like a storm, and he goes through these things. And he's looking, and it's saying that, Yahuwah wasn't in the storm. He wasn't in the earthquakes. So when you listen to what's going on over in Iran, and other places on this earth that are under, that are in war, or war is being had, it's like that. So these are indicators. But it's not the end. And this is what he was telling Elijah in 1 Kings chapter 19. He was saying, no, it's not in the thunder, it's not in the earthquakes, it's not in all these things. And what he said, Elijah said, he was in, when he said Elijah, also he said it was in that quiet voice. So Yahuwah was a quiet voice to Elijah. And what he means by that is a reassuring voice. It's not quiet like in a whisper. It's quiet like, get out of your own head. That's what it's talking about. Get out of your head. Get out of all the noise that's in your head. If you want to hear me, if what Yahuwah is telling us. If you want to hear my voice, you got to drown out your own voice. Otherwise, you'll be hearing you thinking you're hearing me. And it was only then that Elijah could understand purpose. Again. He was always on purpose. But he had his moment, when things looked like it was just too late. Everybody was done. That's why he said, I'm the only one left. Remember that conversation? When he did hear the voice of Yahuwah, he said, Yahuwah, I've done your will. And Jezebel, because them damn heathen, they never shut up. They just everywhere. He said, now she's trying to kill me. I destroyed all that, I've called out her wickedness and this behavior, this heathen loving foolishness she's been about, and now she wants to attack me. And Yahuwah said, look, I got 7,000 men who have not bowed the knee to that whoredom. He said, yeah, many men have. Many men did or wanted to. He said, but I got 7,000 that has not, which meant a very small remnant. Now he said, now that you're listening to me again, Elijah, I need you to get up because you still have more work to do. And see, I tied that back into the dream. Yahuwah says, don't save her. She don't want to be saved. She belongs to another. A demon loves her. A demon is in love with her. That's what Sarah was told. At least Raphael was saying about Sarah in the book of Tobit. She's in a cult. She's in a perverted relationship. Demons. They don't know it, but that's what it is. Sarah never knew what was going on. All she knew, she was being scorned and rejected. So he told Elijah, you got more work to do. Get on up. He said, you got a king to learn and you have a successor that needs to take up your mantle and continue on. And I say that also to reassure some of you, my brothers and sisters, who, like some of us, are having, that moment of, tribulation, unbearable tribulation. But I shouldn't say unbearable, because guess what? We're still here. We didn't walk away like these footprints behind me. Dab. We'll never die. We may transition, but we'll never die, because Yahuwah is with us. But we still have work to do. And he wouldn't give us something that we couldn't handle, because he knows already what he put in us long, long time ago, brothers. That you were born for this. And every, true leader understands it. I'm not talking about those who burned out in the fire. As I said, what they're going to do. As soon as things get really tough, as soon as a real challenge hit their ass, as soon as they got to, forget themselves and make sacrifices, I can assure you they ain't going to do it. They're going to be, again, like a dog returning to the vomit. You can expect nothing from them. Nothing but the same old thing. As an old saying, pissing in the wind, and when the piss hits their legs, call it rain. It ain't rain. It's gonna stink in a minute, and that's their lives. Like that vomit, like the little girl, the demon-possessed girl, throwing up the green stuff. So, however challenging it gets to you, my brothers and sisters, don't back down from the challenge. Step up to the plate. Show yourself worthy. Don't be afraid. Whatever the cost is, do it. Let's not forget the story of Naaman, the leper, remember? When Elijah told him, hey, you need to dip in this muddy water if you want to be cleaned of your leprosy. And he was like, well, no, I don't see that happening. I'm too good for that. Like some of these wicked Israelite heathens. But his servant said, well, if you don't step in that water, then you're going to stay filthy. He went in there. We talked about it before. Don't be afraid of the muddy water. And that was only because many are afraid of the muddy water. Many of our brothers and sisters, what I'm saying? I only say the brothers because they're Israel. They're not going to get in that muddy water. No way. They ain't, I'm too good for it. But they're not too good for it. It's just that redemption is not for them. Again, they like the idea. What did Ezekiel say? They love to hear the word. They like to sing and dance and play their instruments. He said, but at the end of the day, they ain't going to do it. And this is why he said, they belong to a demon. Let them go. Keep going, prophet. Keep going, messenger. Keep going, righteous man, righteous woman of Zion. A righteous woman of Zion, you don't have anywhere to go but under a righteous man. So be careful with that. Because see, that's another form of deception. Trying to pervert Yah's words, saying, well, no, you can be in the leadership. Well, then go read over first. And I'll say this to you out of respect for you. Please, before you jump the gun here and start running off at the mouth, you might want to go read the book of Isaiah chapter 3 and go start reading around verse 11 and see what it says about a woman who thinks that she's supposed to be, in charge of something. So you're in error and you're going down the wrong path and you're going to end up scorn, despise, or reproach, a stench, baldness. Like some of them already, they got long hair, but if you look top on that, you can see it thinning out up there. They trying all kinds of stuff. They ain't coming back, sister. You judge. But anyway, you can see, he said, ultimately they're going to end up in a situation that y'all going to force them to do what they, didn't want to do willingly. That's what Isaiah 4:1 talks about. So how you say it's a progression. You start reading Isaiah chapter 3, verse 11. You read all the way down to chapter 4, verse 1. It's just a progression. It's not a separation. It's a progression. All the book of Isaiah, it's a story being told. Like I was driving down stations, it's a story being told, brothers and sisters. But you can't understand that if your heart is not right. If you're not the righteous remnant, you're not going to understand what I just said. And that's okay. But to the righteous remnant, for you, that's what's happening here. You're a progression. We're a work in progress. So don't be afraid of the noise. Don't be afraid of the storm. Don't be afraid of the vomit that's going to get thrown at you. People are going to try to call you nasty and stupid and whatever else. Most of these people talking that stuff, brothers and sisters, look at their lives. Yahuwah is moving us out of here, and their ass is stuck there. They ain't going nowhere. And they think Yahuwah somehow is going to meet them at their door. How sad. This book said, Yahuwah said, I did this illustration the other day, and I don't want to do overkill. But again, I use this globe for an example, and I use this hourglass, how, they're running out of time. See, these books, this the Torah, this is the foundation of Yah's truth right here. The earth sits upon the foundation of truth. But liars, that live under the firmament, they think that everything they do here, as long as they say Yahuwah said it, Yahuwah knows their heart, they think that somehow or another, that this clock is not running out on them. They're inside of a bubble, And that's why he said they got eyes to see, can't see, ears to hear that they cannot hear. They're trapped because they ignore the fundamental truth. And that's what's in this book. And that's why the clock, the glass, time has run out on them. And they still trying to hold on to their youth. I don't know why. It ain't going to do them any good where they're going. So, as Elijah was told, Elijah, you went through a lot and you've proved yourself before. He said, but you still got some more proving to do. And I'll say to some of you, my dear brothers and sisters who are going through a lot, don't fret it. Keep working. Stay true. Stay true to Yahuwah. Stay true to Yahuwah's prophet. Stay true to this word. Show up when the prophet shows up. We get together on Wednesday night. We teach there. If you're a part of the royal court that is to come, then you need to be where royalty dwells. And royalty is dwelling amongst royalty. We don't sit with the pauper. We don't sit, with the spiritual whores, the witches and the warlocks. We don't sit amongst them. As a matter of fact, our book says we're not supposed to suffer them to live. It's in Exodus chapter 22:18. I think is where you'll find it there and about. Thou shalt not suffer a witch to live. And all of those who are in these perverted relationships, he said those abominable ones, he said they ought to be destroyed too. And they will be. He said you don't have to destroy them. He said, but when they die, they're gonna wake up. They're gonna be shocked, brothers and sisters. They thought they got away with it. They thought because they know the Bible verses. Well, it's one thing to know the Bible verses, it's something totally different to live by them. But they help us better understand. And, this, I know it's been a little monologue here, 45 minutes? But this is important. And again, we in a world that is, again, the thing with Iran and all that, I just want to reestablish that. That's the beginning. It's like the earthquake that Elijah heard, and he thought, well, this is the end, and then the thunder that Elijah heard. I'm talking about 1 Kings 19. He said, is this the end? You will say, no, not yet. Still some more work that has to get done. So I got a little bit more left for you to do, son. Yes, I will say to my dear brothers and sisters, one of our dear brothers was Keith, along with myself, Brother Nelson. I'm sure he doesn't mind me saying this, but about 2 months ago, he said, Elder, Yahuwah told me in a vision, in 60 days, shit was going to hit the fan. I don't know if he used that word. It's probably me using that word, so I don't want to put that on my brother. Not that it's a wrong word to use. It's just dumb. But he said, and look what's going on right now. If you've been following this work, I've told you years ago, winter was coming. Is it here? Think about it like that. You should ask yourself, if Yahuwah tells this prophet something is happening and it comes to pass, that's my prophet. See, this is where a lot of, these self-righteous Israelites get in trouble. Because they'll follow you like on the bus, but not going where you're going. And what'll happen is that as soon as, some type of, adjustment happens, something that they don't agree with, they get off that bus. But they forget something that's very important. This is what they forget. Look at this, brothers and sisters. Just hold your place in Isaiah 30, but come over to the Torah. Because this Torah is true. This Torah is forever. Look what this says, brothers and sisters. This is what they forget. Don't you forget it. It says, this is Deuteronomy chapter 18, verse 18. Couple of verses here. Some of y'all going to hear me read one verse. Yeah, no, nah, listen for a moment. The book of Deuteronomy chapter 18, verse 18 reads, this is Yahuwah talking to Moses. He said, Moses, I'm going to raise up to them, meaning Yashrael, a prophet from among them, not another nation, like unto you. And we know all the things Moses went through. And I will put my words in that prophet's mouth, but the people are not going to listen to him, not the wicked, not the rebellious. And he shall speak unto them all I shall command him to say, all that they will attack him for saying it. And it shall come to pass that whosoever will not listen, that's 9/10 of Yasharel. It shall come to pass whoever will not listen unto the words which he, that prophet, shall speak in my name, I will require it of him. But this part here, brothers and sisters, and remember this. He said, but the prophet which presumes to speak a word in my name, which I have not commanded him to speak, or that shall speak in the name of the other gods, that prophet is going to be killed. But he goes on to say this, though. And if you say in your heart, how shall we know? This part right here, brothers and sisters. He said, if you say in your heart, your mind, well, how should we know the word which Yahuwah has not spoken? He said this, verse 22. He said, when a prophet speaks in the name of Yahuwah, if the thing, that's what I was talking about with Brother Keith, myself. He said, if the thing follow not, nor come to pass, then that is the thing which Yahuwah has not spoken. But if the prophet has spoken it, presumptuously, mean before it happened, not all these prophets are telling you after it happened, you shall not be afraid of him. So my point is, he's saying this. He's saying that if this prophet, my prophet, says something and it comes to pass, that's me speaking to him. So the question is, again, have I not said, these things were coming and these things are here and happening? Again, as my brother referenced a few months back, he said all in about 60 days, and look what's going on. I mean, these predators, these heathens, these two-legged demons are talking about killing 90 million people plus. So when we get finished with them, we go and kill the Cubans. So if you're Cuban, you better get ready. They say when they finish, they're gonna dominate all of the Western Hemisphere. If Yahuwah let them. So understand, this is not a game. This is for, if your mind is not made up, then I want you to listen to this part right here. This is for those of them, I'm talking about the 9/10. The 1/10, listen anyway, but for the 9/10. Let's go over to the book of Isaiah. Okay, you guys ready? Here we go. Book reads, Isaiah chapter 30. Woe unto the rebellious children, says Yahuwah, that take counsel, but not of me, and that cover with a covering, but not of my spirit, and they add their sin to sin. See, Yahuwah's covering for Yasharel is not only his Torah, but his prophet, and whoever he puts over an individual to cover them. You know what I'm saying? Women in leadership, men, you too. You have coverings, layers. Some over 10, remember, some over 50. He's simply saying, and then Moses ultimately. So you should never put yourself in a position that you don't listen to anybody. I'm talking about if you're righteous. The wicked, they're not going to listen. That's why I say this is for them. But if you're a righteous man, as I understand, it's a formation. And if you can't follow direction, then you're not worthy to enter into the kingdom of Yahuwah. You're in rebellion, brother. So you're still being impregnated by the world. Told you, nobody can judge me. I'm my own man and all this foolishness. That I learned, trust me, from someone who's older than you. That is a bunch of BS. Everybody getting told something. You pay a mortgage. Do you pay it on time? Don't tell us you ain't doing. You made an agreement with that bank on that mortgage company, and I don't see you telling them you ain't gonna do something. You real quiet. You ante up every month. So that's like, so look, the lie you tell yourself, that's the lie that's gonna damn you. A strong man follows strong men. Only a fool walks alone. When Elijah was out there by himself, you just heard me talk. When Yahuwah said, I got 7,000 men over here. What are you talking about? You need to get back on the job. You got more work to do. You need to do it with other like-minded men. Or you're not mine. So you just add sin to sin. Your ignorance is going to destroy you. Your sin is going to find you out. Your sin is your rebellion. It's Saul doing the part he wants to do, but not what he's supposed to do. Incompletion. Finish the job, brother. He has no pleasure in those who turn back. You got a whole bunch of almost men of Israel out there. Almost. Almost. It's time up for almost. This is the time for completion. Finish it. Isaiah 30 verse 2. And that walk to go down into bondage, that's Egypt, and have not asked at my mouth, to strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh, they trusting men, and to trust in the shadow of their oppressors. In other words, you're an American citizen, but you were not American. You African American, or whatever you claim, and they told you to call yourself. The only name you hate is when we say you Israelite. That's when you like, I ain't no Hebrew Israelite. Of course, spiritually, you're a heathen. But physically, if you got the DNA, you are what you are. You are what your daddy is. Just somehow people need to go back and look at daddy one more time. Daddy was white. You thought daddy was black. Daddy a white man. He just had a lot of sun because he's out there, in them islands, was a lot of sunlight. But look at this head texture. Look at him. Daddy white, honey. Your ass is not Israel. But anyway, let's go on. He says this, and that he asked at my mouth to strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh and to trust in the shadow of their oppressors. Therefore shall the strength of the oppressor be their shame, and they trust in the shadow of the oppressors with their confusion. That's why they don't know who they are. Here today, gone tomorrow. Double-minded. What did Enoch tell us? Enoch 91:4 said, don't you trust no double-minded man or woman? And they always plead the ignorance, like, I didn't know. I don't know how I didn't know. Oh, what you talking about? You were in the truth. You too blind to know the truth. That's why you sitting there in lies right now. What you talking about? Please. You would know the truth if it hit you upside the head with a baseball bat. Y'all opening doors for some of Israel brothers and sisters, and what are they doing? Like a dog to the vomit, peeking in there, that green stuff coming and turn right on back. I don't like it. What else you got to offer? Yahuwah say nothing. You take it or leave it. Truth will not be compromised. Right, David said in Psalms 70, Psalm 71? Or 72 and 1, he said, I will put my trust in Yahuwah. That way I will not be confused. Got a bunch of confused Israelites out there, brothers and sisters. Living white while professing to be black. Metaphorically speaking, of course. Living like an Edomite, professing to be an Israelite. But let's go on here, brothers. Verse 4. He said, for the princes of Zor and his ambassadors came to account. And they were ashamed of all the people that could not profit them, nor help, nor profit, but ashamed, and also a reproach that they were not helped. He said, and the people looked at these people made these covenants. They went into covenants with these heathens, thinking that these heathens were sent on their behalf, give them opportunity, to give them safety, give them security. He said that they were nothing but made to be a proverb and a byword. He said they were a shameful people. It goes on to say, doing things that would not profit them. He said it became a reproach. Verse 6, and then the burden of the beast of Nev into the land of trouble and anguish, from whence they come, the young and the old lion. See, I like that. Yahuwah has no respect of person. So the young and the old are caught up in this snare, this trap of, pride, arrogance. I can do what I want to do, and no matter what, the prophet says. Yet, as we just read over in Deuteronomy 18, Yahuwah said, no, if that prophet say this, he's speaking in my name, and if you go against him, you're speaking against me. He said, you better put some respect on my name. But rebellious Israel ain't going to put no respect on nothing, because they don't know nothing about respect. All they know about is pride, how they feel, what they want. That's why he said, woe to you rebellious children. And he's not talking about no babies. He's talking about grown-ass men and women, young and old, adults. Call themselves lions, but he goes on to say this. They are vipers, snakes. He said they're fiery flying serpents, and they will carry their riches upon their shoulders of the young asses, and their treasures upon the bunches of camels, to a people that shall not profit them. Talking about they're in covenant with these heathens. They're idiots. They're listening to the serpent people. They walk amongst these vipers, but call themselves blessed. He said, but they ain't going to profit them. He said, for the bondage shall help them in vain. The oppressor shall help them in vain. And to no purpose, therefore, have I cried concerning this. Their strength, they sit still. They're stagnant. Again, they're stagnant. I'll say it one more time. He said they are stagnant. That's how you know them. They're stagnant. No growth. "20 years later, no growth. 30 years later, no growth. 40 years later, no growth. So they're going to die sitting still. And they're going to burn in hell too, because they had no fruit. Wasting away, sitting, going around their little hamster wheel, but judging us who have courage and not afraid. Yahuwah said he's going to damn me. And if it's you, you're damned. You're done. So how dare you speak against the anointing of Yahshua? He said, how dare you speak against my prophet? They claim to know the word, brothers and sisters. If they knew the word, then they would do the word, but they don't. They only know, the letters. With Morgan Freeman and Driving Miss Day to say, he said, I know letters, but I can't read. That's them. They know letters, but they can't interpret nothing. Let's go on here. Verse 8. He said, now go and write it before them in a table, on a tablet, and note it in a cipher, in a book, that it may be for a time to come, forever and ever. And Yahuwah said, this behavior of wicked Judah, Yahshua, he said, I'm going to remember what you did forever and forever. There's nothing you did. There will be no repentance for you. You are marked for damnation. That's what he's saying there. That's why I say I'm talking to you, the 9-10 rebellious Israelite. Yahuwah said, I'm marking you for damnation. Judah, you in particular. Matter of fact, he said, Judah, I'm writing down your wickedness. He said, with an iron pen, with a diamond tip. That's Jeremiah saying it. But Isaiah is saying it here too. Because Yahuwah is saying it. He knows all about you. And there is no escaping. There is no hope for you. He goes on to say that this is a rebellious people. They liars. They are liars. He said lying children. Children that will not hear the Torah of Yahuwah. I was talking about it earlier with Brother Mendez and myself to this lying Edomite, so-called Israelite couple. And they still lying, that group. But many, they ain't the only ones. They're one of 90% of Yahshua. And just like they're marked for damnation, everyone else who compromised his word, you're marked for damnation as well. You go run, wherever you want to run. Look at verse 10. This verse 10 says exactly what you're going to do. He said, which say to the seers, see not, and to the prophets, prophesy not unto us right things. Speak unto us smooth things. Prophesy deceits. In other words, they want to be lied to. They want to be right, even though they are wrong, completely wrong. He said, but if you don't say, and what they're saying to me, brothers and sisters, well, elder, if you don't say what I want to do, then I'm gone, I'm out. If you don't do what I want you to do, I'm out. If I don't agree with you, I'm gone. Talking about them. And there have been many of them, brothers and sisters. They have come and they are gone. But what they didn't realize, their behavior is written right here in this Torah. That's why, again, the dream he told me, don't save them. Stop trying to save them. They don't want to be saved. Don't try to bring them to me. He said, they're not mine. They belong to another. Again, like Sarah, a demon was in love with her ass. Talking about in the book of Tobit. You can read it. And that's happening time and time again. Remember, history repeats itself. Ecclesiastes, what Solomon said in Ecclesiastes, said, I think it's 1:8, said nothing new under the sun. That's just simply saying history repeats itself. We're living in the present and the past and the future at the same time. I know for some of you that's way above your mental capacity, but that's what's happening. But for the righteous remnant, we already see it. We know it. He goes on to say, verse 11, saying, get you out of the way. Turn aside out of the path. Cause the Holy One of Yahshua to cease. He said, this is what they're objecting. This is what they're telling that prophet. Say, get you out of the way. Don't be telling us, don't try to turn us off the path. They want to cause the Holy One of Yahshua to cease from before us. They want prophets who are going to lie to them. What did Isaiah say in Isaiah 56? Say they want prophets who are dumb, greedy dogs, who never have enough, who will prophesy lies to them. And that's why you see, gathering of Christ Church with, thousands and thousands. Same thing with Dow. Thousands and thousands, tens, hundreds of thousands subscribers. Jake's had them. Creflo Dollar had them. Jamal Bright has them. Look at them. It's starting to fall apart at the seams, but it doesn't matter. They are there. Blinded because they want someone to tell them the things that they desire instead of what says Yahuwah. And then they want to judge Yahuwah's prophet. They want to attack his prophet. And that's what they've always done. They always tried to kill the word, the truth. They want a prophet to prophesy lies unto them. Or if nothing else, do what they want. And only a fool would do that. And they got many foolish prophets out here. catering to the masses. Tell me what you want from me. Take a look and you will see. What you need, I got right here. Tell me what you want from me. Bunch of idiots. Listening to a bunch of idiots. In other words, they lack knowledge and listen to the people who lack knowledge. What Hosea said, the people of Yahshua are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. He said they become whores, compromise, whoredoms, male and female, warlocks and witches. And Yahuwah said, I despise them. I reject them. So it goes on to say, because you despise his word and you trust in oppression and perversionness and stay thereon, that you won't change. They live in these perversion lives. Yahuwah say don't do, they say do. Yahuwah say do, they say don't do. What did Isaiah say? Woe unto them who call good evil and evil good. So he's talking about them. Say they are forever damned. Say there is no restoration for them. So leave them alone. If you're 9-10, Yahuwah is saying this to you. He's done. He's finished with you. It's over for you. Not because he didn't care and want you. No, you didn't care for him because you wanted, your own Elohim. No, I don't. Yes, you do. When you're doing what you want to do, yes, you do. When you're corrected and you reject that correction, yes, you are a rebellious. Yes, you are a witch. You just don't know it yet. You'll find out sooner enough. He goes on this, verse 13, brothers. So it says, therefore, this iniquity shall put a breach ready to fall, swelling out, same thing, out in a high wall, whose breaking comes suddenly at an instant. You will say, they're going to think everything is going good for them, brothers and sisters. They safe, they right, we're wrong. He said, but all of a sudden, he said, I'm going to destroy them suddenly. What did Proverbs 29:1 say? Those who are often reproved, harden their hearts. And what he said, Yahuwah said, I'm going to destroy them suddenly, and there is no remedy. This is what he's saying right here, brothers and sisters. Mark it. It's a precept for you. Isaiah chapter 30, verse 11. Therefore, their iniquity, their wickedness shall be a breach, ready and cause their fall, swelling out in a high wall, whose breaking comes suddenly at an instant. You say they're going to realize they were in error, but far too late. Far too late. It's interesting. Noah preached to the people 120 years. Then Yah gave Noah 5 years to get that ark together because he said time's up. And yet, those people attacked Noah, told Noah, the whole time, no, you're wrong, Noah. We don't agree with you, Noah. But it's funny, when Yahuwah thought to bring forth judgment on them, all of a sudden, we listening now. See, that's that pride that comes before destruction. I mean, they really were arrogant enough to come at Noah. That amazed me. They came at him. They didn't have there was nothing in them, brothers and sisters, that caused them to fear and even question, like, is this okay for me to do that? Where is it in the book that Yahuwah told me to tell his prophet that he was wrong? And see, they'll hear me say this, brothers and sisters. I'm talking about the 9/10 of you out there. You hear me saying this, and you get all greasy, sweaty, vomity, green stuff. But tell me this, if I'm wrong, then Yahuwah is wrong. Because let me show you something here. Praise Yahuwah, right to it. Numbers chapter 12 reads, verse 1, and Miriam, the older sister of Abraham, and Aaron, his older brother, spoke against the prophet because of the Cushite woman whom he had married. Now, he's already married to Zipporah. all you so-called Torah keepers. You should have known that. But he had married a Cushite woman. And they said, has Yahuwah indeed spoken only to Moses? Has he not spoken to us too? This is their arrogance. This is their attitude. I ain't got to listen to Moses. Just like Nathan, Quorum, and Abiram. Who made you king over us? Who made you prince over us, Moses? See, this arrogance is still going on today in Yasharel. Thinking you knowing something, you don't know nothing. Calling filthy what Yahuwah says is clean. You're a foolish person. You can't curse what Yahuwah blesses. He goes on to say this. Now the man Moses was very meek above all the men, which were on the face of the earth. So don't tell me Yahuwah can't have someone over everybody. Yes, he can. And he doesn't change. You're the one change, or you need to change. It's your mind. But you won't, because you're in rebellion. But you're going to hear the truth, or you can click me off. Or you can subscribe to this channel and keep on listening. Maybe you'll get in that ark before y'all seal the door. Verse 4, and Yahuwah spoke subtly to Moses, and unto Aaron, and unto Miriam. He said, come out, the three of you, unto the tabernacle of the assembly. And the three came out, and Yahuwah came down in the pillar of the cloud, and he stood in the door of the tabernacle. And he called Aaron and Miriam, and they came forth. And he said, hear now my words. If there be a prophet among you, I, Yahuwah, will make myself known unto him in a vision, and will speak unto him in a dream. He said, my servant Moses is not so, who is faithful in all my house. With him I will speak mouth to mouth, even apparently, meaning even now, and not in the dark speeches, and in the similitude of yours shall he behold. Wherefore then were you not afraid to speak against my prophet? Think about how many of you out there who are behaving in this way. And just like Miriam and Aaron didn't think he heard him, he hears you, he heard you. Will there be accountability? That's a question you should be asking yourself for your pride and your arrogance. Or you think you can speak against Yah's prophet because you don't agree with him. Well, let's see. Verse 9, he said, and the anger of Yahuwah was kindled against them. Who? Miriam and Aaron. Why? For speaking against his prophet. And then he left. And they thought, whew, that was a close call. No, it's not that easy. You ain't going to get away with it. You can say all the stuff you want to say, brother. Sister, you ain't getting away with it. See, they thought, oh, Yahuwah, he gone, I'm good. Those who are often reproved, what? Harden their neck, shall be what? Destroyed suddenly, and there will be what? No remedy. Watch this. And the anger of Yahuwah was kindled against them, and he departed. Verse 10. And a cloud departed off the tabernacle, and behold, Miriam, the woman, became a leper, white as snow. And Aaron looked upon Miriam and said, oh, behold, she is a leper. And Aaron said unto Moses, my Lord, I ask you, lay not this sin upon us. Now they want to. Like when Noah's time. Oh, no, we repent. Yahuwah said, no. You had your opportunity. I warned you, touch not my anointing. I warned you to not come against my prophet. And he has the fruit to show he's my prophet. And you knew it, and you still went against it. And you tried to lie and pervert it like, I don't know. You know how they justify it, brothers. I don't know what was going on with me. Redemption was at your door. But because of your rebellion, you refused to go in. And because you didn't go in, now you want to, point your finger at the prophet. But it's too late now. You had your chance. And Aaron said unto Moses, at last, my Lord, I beseech you, lay not this sin upon us, wherein we have done foolishly, wherein we have sinned. What was their sin? What was their sin? Were they adulterers? Were they fornicators? Were they pagans, idolaters? What was their sin? Were they liars, thieves, robbers? What were their sin? What was their sin? Were they atheists? What was their sin? Necromancers, sorcerers? What was their sin? Seekers of familiar spirits? What was their sin? Divinators? Enchanters? What was their sin? Necromancers? What was their sin? Their sin was speaking against the prophet. And they didn't give a damn until it was far too late. Now all of a sudden, they're like, oh, they're seeking forgiveness. You should have thought about that before you opened your mouth. I warned you not to do it. Look at verse 12 say, and now as Aaron said, let her not be as a dead one, walking dead. They're alive, but they're dead. They don't even know it, brothers and sisters. That's why they keep on with their vitriol, their rhetoric. They're always jumping in comments. They're always on all these channels all over. We see them. Dead. They can't commit to nothing. They don't know what commitment even looks like. The word commitment spelled out clearly, they will read it as rebellion. The word says commitment, dummy. They don't know it says rebellion. I can be rebellious and still be committed. No, you're foolish. Either this or that. Yahuah's way or the gates of hell. Choose. Moses had to remind them that more than one time. Joshua reminded them, he said, for me and my house, we're serving Yahuah. Y'all can do whatever you want to do. But remember, your sin gonna find you out. Verse 12, let her be as one dead, of whom the flesh is half consumed. And when he comes out of his mother's womb, as a baby looks in the birth. And Moses said unto Yahuah, heal her now, O Yahuah, I ask of you. And Yahuah said unto Moses, if her father has spit in her face, should she not be ashamed for 7 days? He said, let her be shut out from the camp 7 days, and after that, let her be received again. Yahuah said, no, Moses, I'm not listening to your prayers. No, there is no repentance going on here. No, there's no forgiveness. She did it. She's going to pay the price for what she did. And see this rebellion, brothers and sisters? It said it is witchcraft. And there's no greater rebellion, much as you want to believe, going against Yahuah's prophet. And I know you don't like the prophet saying it because you want a prophet to tell you something. Again, that's more, how you say, systematic agreeing with your ideology. In other words, someone is going to tell you what you want to hear. And that's why you're over there following them in Africa or wherever they may reside. They remind you, there's a part in the movie, The Color Purple, when Ophelia is leaving Harpo, when she's leaving him. And Celie is saying goodbye to Ophelia. And she's saying, bye, Celie, bye, Johnny, bye, Tammy, bye, this one, bye, that. That's what they sound like. Pathetic. You say, no, she's going to pay, repent. She's going to pay the price for what she did. And Moses, you can't pray out of her damnation. He tried. But you were saying, no, she's not going to be forgiven. She's going to do that contrition. And don't you dare come to me talking about you forgave her. So if she does a contrition, take her back. But remember, Yahuah, even when he took her back, he didn't forget what she had done. Miriam died in the wilderness. Oh, and by the way, you think Aaron got away with it. Why he judged Miriam and didn't judge Aaron? Aaron was the high priest. But he did get judged. He didn't go into the promised land either. See, Yahuwah has a long memory, brothers and sisters. That's why he said writing it down. So when you see somebody say writing it down, that means that it's being recorded. It means it's going to come back up. It's going to come back up. Aaron was rebellious, and sooner, towards the end, his sin followed him out. At the rock of Morah, I think it's called. Well, you know when Moses was told, to speak to the rock, and he hit the rock, and Yahuwah said, because you have done this thing and taken my glory away from me, you will not go into the promised land. And by the way, Aaron, you ain't going either, because you should have had his back, and you should have reminded him, and you didn't do your job, as Aaron was always being compromised. People pleasing, worrying about what people think instead of standing upon this Torah. That's exactly what Isaiah is telling us over here again in 30. Let's pick back up. He says what? I'll read Isaiah 30:13 again. Therefore the iniquity shall be unto you as a breach, a breaking away, ready to fall, a swelling out of in a high wall, like a dam is about to break, whose breaking comes suddenly at an instant. They're going to think they're going to get in, brothers and sisters. The last minute, they're going to find out, no, you're not. You're a dead woman. You're a dead man walking. You're a dead woman walking. You're done, Yahuwah says. Just like he told Miriam, come against my prophet, I come against you. Verse 14, and he that breaks it as a breaking of a potter's vessel that is broken into pieces, he shall not be spared. So shall there not be found in the bursting of it a herd to take the fire from the hearth, or to take water without a pit, meaning like a handle. You will say there's not going to be any savings for them. You're not, if you got a hot pail or something, you're not going to pick it up with your hand. If you got a hot iron or two, you're not going to touch it with your hand, or you're going to get scorched. You're going to get burned. You're going to get injured. Who said you got to deal with this, carefully. He said that's the way they're going to be. He said don't touch them. He said they're going to be burning. Another way of saying they're going to burn in hell. He said he ain't going to spare them. He said he's not going to get them out of the pit. Isaiah 5:14 talks about hell has enlarged itself because of the rebellious of Yahshua. He said it was supposed to be a vineyard of good grapes. He said, but no, they have taken down the wall because they've gone after the heathen. They've learned the ways of their captors. They put their trust in their captors and not put their trust in Yahuwah and his prophet. And therefore Yahuwah said now they become wild grapes. In other words, you can't tell them nothing. They're doing what they want to do. It's just like a wild vineyard or a vine, it's a death. They're a death spiral. They're in a death spiral. Think they're going up, but really they're falling down. And they can't tell the difference. They will think that hell has enlarged itself for them. But Yahshua, not for the heathens. The heathens in Yahshua. When I'm going to name this, it'll be interesting. Hallelujah. You'll give me a name for it. But if you listen this for, you might well go the rest of the way. Verse 14 of Yahuwah, verse 15. For thus says Yahuwah, the Holy One of Yahshua, and returning in rest shall you be saved. In quietness and in confidence shall your strength, and you would not be. So all you had to do was just conform, follow the direction, walk in agreement, walk in unity, stop lying. Especially to your own self. But he said, they wouldn't do it. Verse 16. But he said, no, but we will flee upon our horses, and therefore we shall flee, and we will ride upon the swift. Therefore shall they that pursue you be swift. You will say, since you rebelled against me, I'm going to let them loose on your asses. Talking about the heathens, brothers and sisters. See, something is about to come, and I mean like Very soon. Well, these heathens who are enraged, David talked about them in Psalm chapter 2. He said, these heathens, he said, when they finish killing abroad, they coming back home. They always do. Dog returns to the vomit. Chicken returns to the roost. So they coming back. And they're going to come back hungry for blood. Because they got a taste of it. In Yasharel, whether you want to accept it or not, you are right directly in the line of fire. And for you that live abroad, you too. I think about these people who are telling us, oh, I'm going to Africa because Africa this and Egypt is that and all these different places. Now look what's going on over there. These scorched earth predators, better not forget about those South Africans in Rhodesia who still got a chip on their shoulder for getting kicked out of South Africa. So you African lovers over there, you just love some Africa. Well, you better remember, you got a lot of enemies who are Edomite in Africa. And they haven't forgotten the hit they took when the land was being given back, taken from the colonizers and given back to the natives. You think they forgot about you? Watch. They're going to colonize this earth. Trump told me we're going to take the whole earth back. Him and that little, how you say, the Secretary of War, that, whoremongering coke head, used to be a newscaster, believe it or not, from Fox. This fool was on Fox and Friends, talking about Pete Hegseth. How did he even go from being on the damn, Fox news program to the Secretary of War? I wonder how many BJs he gave to get that job. Quite sure more than a few. And these heathens going around here talking about they're going to take everything. They want the whole earth back. They want it back. So I guess you African lovers, I guess you're going to China next, huh? Where you going, to Russia? Where you going next? Oh, don't forget, those are non-melanated heathens and they don't want you in their country either. You should have stayed with your own people. But you should have been committed and stayed with your own people. In other words, obedient to Yahuah's Torah. You should have been here with us. Now you're all over there, running around, watching the news. Ain't gonna change. The news lies. You want the truth, you better be here listening to this prophet on this channel where you should be subscribed. Because I'm not interested in pacification. I'm not interested in popularity. You can't buy the truth out of me. Goes on to say here, picking up verse 16, verse 17, he says this: one shall flee at the rebuke, 1,000 shall flee at the rebuke of, let me read this slowly. 1,000 shall flee at the rebuke of one, and at the rebuke of 5 shall you flee, till you be left as a beacon upon the top of a mountain, as an ensign on a hill. So there ain't gonna be nothing left. It's gonna be, how you say, it's gonna be, people will know you were there, but you will no longer be there. See, this is talking about those rebellions, well, the rebellious among us. Isaiah is telling us, Yahuwah said, when he gets finished with you, you're gonna be you're just gonna be a memory. A bad memory, a nightmare. Said, instead of you standing up, one putting 1,000 to flight, one going to cause you to run. He said, not only one, 5 will cause you to run. You wait till them heathens get back. When they get finished killing abroad, and when they go home, wherever home is to them. Then they're going to come on and play nice with you. You'll be in their coffee or stuffed on their sofa. Verse 18, and therefore will Yahuwah wait that he may be gracious unto you, and therefore will he be exalted, that he may have mercy upon you. For Yahuwah is almighty of judgment, and blessed are they that wait on Yahuwah. These are those who obey him, is what he's saying here. Trust in Yahuwah with all your heart. Lean not to your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him through his prophet, as he said you ought to do. And then your path will be blessed by him. Otherwise, he said, you're on your own. You're like a wild runaway. You're like a runaway train or a wild horse. It's all over the place. Find you on all the channels. Find you, like a vagabond. You're nothing but a religious vagabond. You're worthless. You can't commit to nothing. How sad, he's saying, our people have become. Not all of us, but again, 90% is a lot, brothers and sisters. Verse 19, and the people that dwell in Zion at Jerusalem shall you weep no more. For he is buried. Talking about the righteous remedy. He said, the time coming, brothers and sisters, we ain't going to have to weep no more. But we say the people, not the individual. So this is where a lot of these little perverted Israelites get it all twisted. No, he's talking about me. No, he said the people. That means more than one. I know you failed in math. But then again, maybe you didn't. But anyway, when you say a people, that's plural. You don't know what plural is, look the word up. He said, for the people that dwell in Zion at Jerusalem, you shall weep no more. For he will be very gracious unto you at the voice of your cry. And he will hear it, and he will answer us. So be assured of that fact, my dear brothers and sisters. Talking about the righteous remnant. For you in rebellion, Yahuwah said he doesn't hear your prayers. Well, how can I repent? Go ask Jesus. Verse 20, and though Yahuwah Adonai give you the bread of adversity and the water of affliction, yet shall not your teachers be removed into a corner anymore, but your eyes shall see your teachers. You notice he said, see his teachers. You say, I'm going to bring teachers. So all of you who can't be taught, all of you who can't be, redirected, all of you who cannot be rebuked or reproved, he's speaking against you. He said, your ears, but your eyes shall see your teachers, talking about the righteous among us. He said, and your ears shall hear the word behind you, saying, this is the way, walk you in it. When you turn to the right hand and when you turn to the left, you notice he's saying, you follow the direction of his teachers, his prophet. That's why you are the righteous remnant. That's why you're not marked to damnation, because you don't follow your way. You follow the teacher's way, his teachers. He goes on to say this, verse 22, you shall defile also the covering of your graven images of silver and your ornaments of molten images of gold. He said, we don't lust after no silver. We don't chase after no gold. That's Baal and the rest of them devils. We chase after Yahuwah. We chase after this Torah. We chase after righteousness. We chase after truth, because that is, we chase after obedience. That's the mark of a blessed man or woman. This book says it's better to obey than sacrifice. So I don't care about your things. I don't care about this, and I don't care about it. So I want you. I don't care about your feast days. I don't care about your festival days. Amos 5 and 20. Yet many of you this week doing your feast of Passover, whatever you're doing, just might as well call it Easter. But you say, oh no, we don't do no Easter. Yeah, you're a lie. You just changed the name. You're doing the same thing that they say for Halloween. We don't celebrate how we just celebrate Harvest Night. A difference without a distinction. Cognitive dissonance. Convenient lies for uncomfortable truth you are. He said, you shall cast them away like a bloody rag, menstruous cloth. That's what that means. It's like a tampon, not a tampon, but a bloody rag that a woman who's on a menstrual cycle. So this book talks about this stuff. While you over there, Yahuwah said, what are you talking about? Isaiah talked about it a little bit later on in Isaiah 64, verse 6. He said, talking about the righteousness of an individual when you're doing what you want to do. He said, you just like a bloody rag, sister. That bloody rag you used when you had a menstrual cycle. He said, you have become the bloody rag. That's what it says here. He said, cast them away like you cast away a menstruous cloth. And you shall say unto them, get away from me. So that's what we should be shunning them, brothers and sisters. But he was telling me in the dream, don't stop at the stations. Keep going. You have enough. In other words, the ones who I want with you, they're with you. Don't seek those who belong to another. Then you shall give rain to your seed, and that you shall sow the ground with it, and bread shall increase on the earth, and it shall be fat and plentiful. In that day shall your cattle feed in large pastures. That's what he's saying. I'm going to bless you. He said, if we move away from them, y'all say he's going to be with us wherever we are, brothers and sisters. And that's exactly why we're moving away. We're not leaving. We're not running to another continent. We're just going to a place that Yahuwah will bless. Because everybody there are going to be like-minded, loving and serving Yahuwah every day. And we don't care about what some witch or warlock has to say about what we're doing. So busy looking at us, you need to fix yourself. Verse 24, and he said, the oxen likewise, and the young asses that hear the ground shall eat clean provender food, which between the widow with the shovel and with the fan. And there shall be upon every high mountain. He's talking about all the blessings we're going to get, brothers and sisters, for being obedient. He says, and there shall be upon every high mountain and upon every high hill rivers and streams of water in the day of the great slaughter when the towers fail. So y'all say, well, is he destroying them, brothers? He's going to be blessing us. Like David said, we're going to be like a tree planted by the rivers of water. Jeremiah said the same thing. He said, we'll be like trees planted by the rivers of our fruit will never wither. Whatever we do will prosper. Why? Because we, those who have come out, will be spared of the slaughter that's going to happen to all of those who chose to stay in or ignore the warning signs. Then he goes on to say, verse 26, moreover, the light of the moon shall be as the light of the sun, and the light of the sun shall be sevenfold, as the light of 7 days in the day that Yahuwah binds up the breach of his people and heals the stroke of their wound. So he's going to restore us everything. So what he said, I'm going to restore to you what? Everything that the cankerworm, the palmer worm, the caterpillar took. He said, why? Because you listened to my teachers. You didn't know that? Come on, let me give you a precept. Go to the book of Job. This is Job chapter 2. Look what it says here. He said, this is verse 23. He says, and the children of Zion, same thing Isaiah said the children of Zion shall rejoice and be glad in Yahuwah, because he gives us the righteous teachings. Righteous teachings. Not righteous you read. Righteous teachings, teachers. Because he gives us righteous teachings, which descend upon us like a teaching rain, like in a latter rain in the first of the year. And the floor shall be full of wheat, and fat shall overflow with new wine and oil. And I will restore unto you the years that the locust has eaten, and the cankerworm, and the caterpillar, and the palmer worm, and my great army which I sent among you. And you shall eat plenty, and you'll be satisfied. And the praise of the name of Yahuwah that has dwelt wondrously with you, and my people shall never be ashamed. Hallelujah. And guess what, brothers and sisters? We're going to get it. Hallelujah. And if you're with us, I guess you'll be getting it too. Hallelujah. Don't listen to them fools out there telling you something different. Say they're stiff-necked, hard-headed people, rebellious people. Say they don't know me. They know of me, but they don't know me. If they knew me, they would obey you, son. Son of man. Ezekiel, Jeremiah, Isaiah, Joshua, not Jesus. Well, Yahuahs, whatever filthy pig name he's going under today. With his Rainbow Coalition, many colors. Isaiah 30, chapter 27. Isaiah chapter 30, verse 27. Behold, the name of Yahuwah comes from far, burning with his anger. The burden thereof is heavy. His lips are full of indignation. And his tongue is a consuming fire. Again, Yahuwah word is a consuming fire. It's not a pacifier. Yahuwah is a man of war. Exodus, 15:3. And oh yeah, Deuteronomy 4:24 says what? I am a consuming fire, says Yahuwah. And here it is, Isaiah saying the same way. He says his word, his tongue is a what? A devouring, which means a consuming fire. So all you peace-loving Israelite, heathen-loving Edomites, I'm going to set your little wicked behind on fire. And he's going to use my tongue to set you on fire. He said his breath, the way he breathes, is an overwhelming stream which reach in the midst of the neck to sift the nations with a sleeve of vanity. And there shall be a bridle in the jaws of a people. He said, I'm going to pull them into error. There's going to be a lot of them among us, brothers and sisters, who are going to think they're right. He said, but they are wrong. He said, but I'm going to intentionally mark them for damnation. This is what Enoch 97:16 said, because they would not listen to my wise, his chosen teachers, prophet. He said, you know what? I'm going to let them be in error. I'm going to let them believe their own lies. He said, I'm going to take and put a hook in their jaw. He said, I'm going to snatch them away from the truth. He said, I'm going to intentionally let them go the wrong way. I'm going to intentionally let them believe their own lies. He said, since they would not hear the truth when the truth came, he said, guess what? I'm going to shut them off from the truth. This is what he's saying right here. Boy, you should be asking yourself the question, Elohim, please don't let it be me. And Elohim saying it don't have to be you. Yahuwah saying it doesn't have to be you, son. So it's your decision. I've already given you the word. I've given you the teachers. And I've shown you a path to get out of this heathenistic world. But you need to make a choice and stick to your conviction. So if you care that much, then be obedient. Do what you're told. Don't resist. Conform so you can be a part of the transformation. Conform so you can transform. Otherwise, you're going to be rejected, right along with the rest of them. And when this judgment hit, that indignation, that wrath, you're going to be right in the middle of it, Judah, Israel. And there is no hope for you. No matter what you say. But say you don't err to the left, you don't err to the right, you don't go to the left, you don't go to the right. You come straight out. You don't let yourself get distracted. You don't make eye contact with heathens. You look off, you look the other way. They're witches and they're warlocks. They're seducers of men. They're stealers of souls. Avoid them at all costs is what he's saying. Because Yah is judging them, brothers and sisters. Talking about Israel, the wicked among us. he goes, maybe that's the title. Yahuwah will put a hook in their jaw. Write that down. Well, Yahuwah's hook in their jaw. Better. Yahuwah's hook in their jaw. You'll see it in the title. Remember what it means. Causing them to go the wrong way. Damn. Can you imagine, brothers and sisters, that Yahuwah is intentionally causing them to be in error? He's intentionally causing them to believe their own lies? He's intentionally marking them for damnation? Damn. There's no repentance for them. There's no no restoration, no forgiveness for them. Yahuwah is leading them to their own damnation. Damn. And they're playing with Yahuwah because they're trying to make him a man. Well, man wouldn't do that. Well, he's not a man. Well, loving Elohim wouldn't do that. Well, Elohim is a Elohim of war. If he's so loving, why are you sending people to hell? Because he's a flaming fire, a consuming fire. He's a purifier. And he ain't gonna let the corrupt walk among us, because then we will forever be corrupted. He's gonna burn the hell out of them while they're in hell. He ain't gonna burn the hell out of them, but I just use that because I think it kind of, says a little something. Yahuwah gonna cause them to be in error. He's gonna cause their error. And this is why you see all of them that look successful out there. That's why the vagabond, religious psychopaths, you see them everywhere, commenting all over the place, except for the place they should be, where the truth is being taught. Because they're in error, they're not gonna see the truth. They're gonna reject the truth. Hallelujah. That's what he's saying. They're gonna reject it. And he's going intentionally. Verse 29, and it says, and you shall have a song as in the night, when a holy sodomy means solitude is kept, quietness is kept, and gladness of heart, peace is kept. And gladness of heart, as one who goes with a pipe and comes into the mountain of Yahuwah, to the mighty one of Yasharel. And Yahuwah shall cause his glorious voice to be heard, and shall show the lightning down upon his arm, or the lightning down of his arm. The lightning, like fire, hallelujah, of his arm. Boy, this is beautiful. And Yahuwah shall cause his glorious voice to be heard. Now we have ears to hear. They don't. We do. Eyes to see. We have. They don't. We do. One will make them, 1,000 will put them to flight. 5 will put them to flight. But we will one of us will put 1,000 of them to flight. 2 of us will put 10,000 of them to flight. To the power of Yahuwah, he says what? He will show the lightning down of his arm, like lightning striking, trees and other things. Lightning down of his arm, with the indignation of his anger, and with the flame of a devouring or consuming fire, with scattering in the tempest, and with hailstones. They're going to run him all over the place. They're going to be looking for him and can't find him. Yahuwah says, I'm going to hide myself from him. Just like he did in the days of Noah. They come to that ark and they hearing and crying, and Yahuwah said, I don't hear you. Proverbs 28:9 said what? He said, those who do not keep Yahuwah Torah, he said what? He said, your prayers are abomination. Yahuwah said, I don't hear you. You ain't keeping my Torah. You're keeping a Torah that you have constructed for yourself. You made a ready-made Torah. You got a TV dinner Torah. You got your own recipe Torah. That ain't my Torah. You said, my thoughts not your thought, my ways not your ways. You're doing your own thing. Claiming I told you could do it, and you're a liar. He said, I didn't tell you no such thing. I told you listen to my prophet. But that marrying spirit is hard to get rid of. just like the Jezebel spirit. Different without a distinction. Can't tell them nothing. Or even you do tell them something, they'll say okay and do what they want to do regardless. Verse 31, and though the voice of Yahuwah shall be as ashes to be beaten down, and it will smote them with a rod, means to beat them with a rod, hit them with a rod. The rod of fire. And it's coming. Male, female, I'm telling you, it is coming. And way sooner than you think. But you compromised Israelites out there. For those of you who don't do the work. Talking about you, against you. He goes on to say this, for though the voice of Yahuwah shall be as ashes, shall be beaten down with the beating of a rod, a stick, a bat. And every place where the ground staff shall pass, which Yahuwah shall lay upon him, it shall be tabrets and harps. In the battles of the shaking, will he fight with it? In the battles of shaking, it's like an earthquake. This whole earth is going to shake. Everything will start falling. Everything going to fall apart, brothers and sisters. Watch. It's coming. And the only place it's going to be safe is those who dwell with him in Zion. Where Zion means his presence, but where his people, his righteous remnant dwell. We're going to be together. Here now, before we go to the new heaven, before we inherit the new earth, you're going to be together right here, right now. So what is your plan? You should be asking yourself that question. How do you know that you know that you know you're going to be with the righteous remnant? When Yahuwah says he's going to be protecting them, that's when he's going to dwell with us while the rest of the earth is being slaughtered. What's your plan? What are you planning for? Saving up to go to college? Saving money to get married like the heathens? What are you planning? Buying you a new house? What's your plan? Buying you a big house? Buying you property? What's your plan? Let me tell you something. You're putting money in bags with holes in it. If your plan is not to get out and come among the righteous remnant, you're wasting time. It's all going to be destroyed. Your plan should be, my plan is to get with the righteous and be right where Yahuwah said, he's going to dwell with Zion. He's going to dwell with the righteous. Otherwise, you're doing your own thing. And it's going to not succeed. You will not succeed in the thing for which you are doing. And you heard it right here. Just remember that. You will not succeed in the thing that you're doing. Whatever it is. Sitting still on your behind, you're not going to succeed in that either. He said it's going to be a battle. It's going to be shaking. And Yahuwah, he said, and it said, in the battles of the shaking will he fight with them. For a tophet is ordained of old. Yes, for the king it is prepared. He said, for the king is prepared. He has made it deep and large, and the power thereof is fire and much wood. But the breath of Yahuwah is like a stream of brimstone, and it kindles. I mean, it burns, it's purifying, it's restoring. He's sorting out, how you say, the wheat from the chaff. We read, what did the prophet tell King Asa? He said, the spirit of Yahuwah goes throughout the whole earth. 2 Chronicles 16:9. Looking to show itself strong on behalf of those whose hearts are perfect towards him. But only, and a perfect heart means an obedient heart. A perfect heart means a heart that can be what? Corrected. A heart that can take feedback. A heart that can be taught, not by themselves, but by the prophet that Yahuwah says. So we're all on one accord. Otherwise, he says, you are none of mine. You belong to yourself. Quit lying, is what he said. Don't lie on me. Say, I'm not with you. So I dwell with Zion. I dwell with the righteous, not with the individual. He said, we're a collective. We're a nation of many. Not whorehouse of a one. Hallelujah. I want to say to my dear brothers and sisters who help me with this work, who do and support this work, financially helping with this work, may Yahuwah bless you and increase you. For those who subscribe to the channel, praise Yahuwah. Stay here. You're wasting time over there, wherever over there is. You want the truth, you want to be redeemed, you want to be protected from the fire hurricane that's coming, then this is where you want to be. Those of you who are committed, then you should be thumbing up the work so that this work happens. Yahuwah sees it, he writes it down too. But for the 9/10 of you, keep on doing what you're doing, because you're going to get exactly what you think you're going to get. Well, then again, no, you're not. You're going to inherit the wind and the fire within. That being said, may Yahuwah watch over you, keep you. Don't forget, we have our Wednesday night Tanakh studies. So hope you're there. If you care to know and learn the ways of Yahuwah, you'll be there. Shut off all the foolishness, brothers and sisters. It's time to focus. From my mouth to your heart, from Yahuwah, may peace dwell with you. Zion. Shalom.